Hello and welcome to Run Testers. My name's Nick. In this video we're going to be comparing the Asics Novablast 5 and the Asics Gel-Cumulus 27. So the Cumulus 27 and the Novablast 5 are both cushioned neutral shoes that sit at a very similar price point in the Asics range, so we thought it would be interesting to compare the two shoes in case you're trying to pick between them. Like I say, they're very similar in price. In the US they're the same price as $140. In the UK the Novablast is a little cheaper, it's £135, whereas the Gel-Cumulus is £140. They actually have exactly the same weight in my size, the UK Well, the shoes I have here do anyway. When I weighed them, there will be slight differences from shoe to shoe. They are both 274 grams or 9.7 ounces. They both have an 8mm drop, but the Novablast is the highest stack shoe. It's 41.5mm at the heel and 33.5 at the forefoot, whereas the Gel-Cumulus is 37.5 at the heel and 29.5 at the forefoot. So with the Gel-Cumulus, you've got an engineered mesh upper and then a midsole that's mostly made from Asics' FF Blast Plus foam. There's also a pure gel insert under the heel to add a little bit more softness and cushioning there. And then you have a fluid ride outsole, which is a rubberized EVA, as opposed to the rubber outsole you have on the Novablast. Indeed, most running shoes. For the Novablast, you have a jacquard mesh upper, and then the midsole is made from FF Blast Max Plus. Asics has a lot of quite similar sounding foams in this range. They all start with Blast and Max and Plus and all that kind of stuff in there, but they do feel quite different on the run, which we'll come on to. Then you've got an AHA low rubber outsole on the shoe.
When it comes to fit, I ran in a UK 8.5, US 9.5, which is my regular size in Asics shoes. The Cumulus 27 has a comfortable disappearing fit with good lockdown across the midfoot. That's helped by the flat wrapping tongues. I like the fact they've got a couple of pads on them to soften any potential lace impact. There's good room lengthwise in the toe box. I think there's enough clearance across the top. There's enough wiggle room. For the Novablast, I found the fit secure but roomy with lots of wiggle room in the toe box. There's good hold across the midfoot. I've got a largely secure heel hold from the padding here. It's nicely padded at the back. I personally like the room that you get from this shoe as it opens up the potential to use it as a longer haul mileage shoe. So on the marathon test, it coped really well. No black toenails, all of that kind of stuff. Good for comfort on that. But for both shoes, I would recommend going true to size.
Okay, so the fit for me in these two shoes. The Novablast 5, absolutely fine. In my UK size 8, very comfortable. Lots of space around the forefoot. Nice relaxed fit around the sides of the forefoot, and plenty of space before the big toe. Lots of padding as well, so it's a very nice, comfortable shoe. Definitely had no issues with the Novablast 5. I would stay to my size in that shoe. The Cumulus 27, it's very similar fit, to be honest. There's a lot of space around it. It's very comfortable. It's a very roomy shoe. What I would say is there's a little bit more space for me before the big toe, more than I would normally have in a shoe, but probably about right for most people. Most people work on that thumbs width space before the big toe, which is pretty spot on. But if you're like me and you like to have a little bit less space in the forefoot, then you might want to size down half a size. But I think for the most part, you'd probably want to stay to your size in this shoe.
When it comes to fit, I've got both these shoes in the same size, which is a UK 9. That's a US 10 with Asics. That's the size I use across the Asics range and have done for many years, and it's the right size in both of these shoes. They both fit true to size and have a very comfortable fit all round. They're nicely padded at the heel. The tongue doesn't have too much padding on, but it is still comfortable, so it doesn't get too hot or sweaty underneath it because it isn't so plushly padded as on some shoes. And the toe boxes are nice and roomy. I'd say the Asics is the roomiest shoe in terms of width. As someone with a narrow foot, my foot almost feels a little bit lost in there at times, but overall, I'd definitely say sticking to your normal size is the way to go.
So these are two shoes that in a lot of ways are quite similar in the way that they look and the way they're designed, but then they ride very differently. The Novablast 5 is a very good, accessible, versatile-ish daily training shoe that ticks a lot of boxes. It's got a lovely bit of midsole in it that's nice and comfortable. It's not too soft, but it is quite nice for longer runs and easy runs. It's also there's a bit of energy in this midsole foam, so it makes it a bit more versatile for general runners or people that really skew more towards the easier runs. And overall, it's just a really good, solid shoe that is very accessible to a lot of people. So yeah, been a big fan of the Novablast 5, and then especially it's sort of shoe that if you were a new runner and you were looking for a good, solid, all-round shoe, Novablast 5 would be a good option. The Cumulus 27. So the ride in this is slightly different than the Novablast. The midsole foam, for me, it's absolutely fine. I used it for a 30k run when I first got it out of the box. and it works pretty well. The problem with the Cumulus when you compare it with the Novablast 5 for me is that it doesn't really do anything exceptional in any way. The Novablast 5 I would say is a very comfortable shoe, a very nice level of cushioning in it. Cumulus 27 doesn't feel like that. It feels like a shoe that is probably for me best suited for those shorter distance runs, easy runs, things like that. But when I got up to that 30k, what I did find is that midsole just really felt like I wasn't getting as much cushioning as I wanted out of a shoe. When I got to that 20k, I could really feel this forefoot just. My foot felt like it was pounding a bit too much on the ground, so I don't think there's enough midsole foam, especially in the forefoot of this shoe, or the design of the midsole doesn't really work for me, especially in that forefoot. So it's fine. It ticks a lot of boxes for general running, but I don't think it does anything really well. It hasn't got the stack height that you would associate with max stack shoes, things like the Nimbus. Which I'm not a massive fan of that shoe either, but the benefit of it is you've got that big stack height, so you can really feel the impact being deadened, and you get a nice comfortable landing on it, whereas this doesn't have as much foam in it. So I'm not really getting loads of comfort from it, especially on those longer runs. It's not a particularly versatile shoe, definitely not as versatile as a Novablast 5. So really it's all right, but it doesn't really do a lot of things particularly well, whereas the Novablast 5 does do some things really well, like comfort and those easy runs and a bit of versatility as well. It's not amazing at versatility, but it's pretty good for most people. Cumulus 27 I would not call it a versatile shoe, so it's okay if you wanted a general shoe, but I don't really know what the target market is for this shoe. Maybe somebody who wants something with a bit more ground feel and a little bit less midsole in it. But I don't think there's a particularly nice heel to toe transition in this shoe, and I don't think it's a particularly comfortable shoe either. I think for like 10 to 15k, absolutely fine, not a problem. But I think the Novablast 5 is much better at those. As well as that, the outsole on the Novablast 5 is very good. It's got a nice layer of rubber on it, quite thick, and I've had not had any issues running in this at all. The outsole on the Cumulus 27 is more of a midsole. It's like this dual layer midsole, this EVA that goes across the bottom. No signs of wear or tear on it now, but it definitely doesn't feel as grippy as rubber. And I would be slightly concerned with the durability of this based on how it feels. It feels quite a lot more delicate than rubber. So yeah, the outsole on the Novablast 5 is better for me.
On to the run test then. I've done between 50 and 60k in both of these shoes, using them mostly for relaxed daily training runs, but I have upped the pace in both of these shoes on occasions. They're both pretty solid daily trainers, but they have quite a different feel on the run, and overall I'd say I definitely lean towards the Novablast myself in terms of how it feels. The key differences between the shoes are the midsole foams you have here, the different stack heights you have on the shoes, and then the outsole designs that you have on the shoes, which does change the feel of the run quite a lot. The Novablast is the higher and softer shoe. I'd say the midsole gives a little bit more back as well in terms of energy return. The foam you have in it is a little bit softer than the one on the Gel-Cumulus, but also a little bit bouncier, I'd say. It's also a more cushioned shoe, especially under the forefoot, where I would say the Gel-Cumulus can feel a little bit flat at times. You get slightly bouncier feeling from the Novablast there, but also just a higher feeling that will create a bit more comfort when it comes to long runs in particular. Overall, I'd just say the ride's a bit more enjoyable on the Novablast because of the way it's set up. I also find that as a heel striker, it transitions a little bit more smoothly from heel to toe than the Gel-Cumulus. In general, that midsole is just a little bit more fun at easy paces, and also gives you a little bit more versatility at faster ones. So with the Cumulus, you've got that lower profile feel, more of a traditional feel really, and I think the midsole is a little bit dull and lifeless at times. Like, it does protect the legs well, and I'm not saying the Novablast is the most energetic or lively shoe in the world, but it does have a little bit more bounce to it, whereas the Gel-Cumulus feels like it's more set up to absorb the impact of your run and really give you a lot of bounce back. So snaps through a little bit more, I'd say. You've got maybe a slightly less rocker design on the shoe, but one area where I do think it is a little bit better than Novablast is the outsole. So this rubberized EVA might not be quite as durable as the rubber on the Novablast, although I've seen no signs of wear and tear yet, but it does create quite a nice smooth feeling and a quieter ride than the one on the Novablast. I do quite like rubberized EVA's midsoles at times because they do create a fairly soft feeling shoe, I do think, even if you do trade off a bit of durability sometimes, but I do think that's the one area where I do prefer the Gel-Cumulus to the Novablast 5 with that outsole feel and how it contacts the road. I think it is interesting that you've got the same weight here for the quite different stack heights, and the fact that Novablast is as light as a shoe whilst also having more comfort and cushioning, especially under the forefoot, and a bouncier feel, I think makes it the more versatile shoe. Even though the Gel-Cumulus is quite a lightweight shoe for a cushion shoe, I never really found it was that versatile. I didn't enjoy it that much at faster paces. Novablast, I think, has the edge there. definitely all these differences kind of borne out when I ran in both shoes at the same time. You do feel a bit higher in the Novablast. You do feel like you're getting a bit more lift back off the foam. And it's also a bit softer and more cushioned at the heel. So really all round on any kind of run, I think I'd lean towards using the Novablast myself.
Now in testing, I have run more miles in the Asics Novablast 5, including a full solo marathon test. I've not gone as far in one stint in the Asics Gel-Cumulus 27, but my testing has also included a 90-minute run in this shoe. Now, I've tested both shoes across the same range of paces, covering slow and easy long runs. I've done some slow, short runs. I've done up to faster paces, progression runs, all of that kind of thing, some fast miles as well. As usual, I've run mainly on the road, but with some light off-road as well. Now, if we break these two shoes down, the Cumulus 27 for me is like a happy, reliable, comfortable shoe that I think can cope with quite a range of paces. It's almost like a competent jack of all trades, from easy up to what I would call endurance pace. But I don't think it necessarily sort of excels at any one job. And it's definitely got a more traditional ride than we're seeing now from that kind of swathe of new style daily trainers. The lower midsole offers up a lot more ground feel than you'll get with the Novablast 5. If you're a fan of that lower connected sort of feeling underfoot, then the Cumulus sticks close to that. And it does it really well, actually. It does that nicely. Though I think some runners might find that it lacks the cushion that they would ideally want for the longest runs. So they're a distinctly more direct, firmer shoe than Novablast 5. You're giving up some of the bouncier edge that you'll get from the Novablast. Now, to get the most out of the Cumulus, you need to be picking your feet fast, I think, because of that. While the Novablast 5, I think, offers up some kind of sort of energy. It does some of the work for you. It's one of those shoes that feels like it's giving you a bit more back. Whereas this one, I think you have to put in more energy. Now, despite the larger stack of the Novablast 5, it is the lighter shoe. I think it offers a nice, smooth ride that feels light. It responds well on toe-off. It feels springy but controlled. When you're feeling good, running with good form and pushing the pace, the Novablast 5 feels energetic and it's giving a bit back. But it's also cushioned enough to accommodate moving at slower pace as well. There's a softness here that really works for that. When it comes to that balance of cushion and energy, I think the Flight Foam Blast Max Foam raises the bar over the Flight Foam Blast Plus Eco that you'll get in the Cumulus 27. Though I would say that sometimes on heavier legs, when I was sort of feeling slowest and not as energetic, I still found the Novablast felt a little bit soggy. For example, towards the end of that marathon sort of run that I did, or on slow runs where I felt tiredness, that softness sometimes makes it feel like you're working a little more against the shoe. And then I've had runs where I'm sort of full of energy, running in good form, really working off the forefoot, where the Novablast has felt really smooth and energetic. On durability, from the mileage that I've done so far, I think both shoes are showing little signs of wear and tear. So I'm pretty confident these are going to fulfill that job as big mileage shoes.
My verdict, this is a pretty simple one for me because the shoes are so similar in many ways in terms of price and weight and that kind of thing, but I just think the Novablast has a better ride to it. I think it feels more cushioned and fun at easy paces, and then gives you a little bit more bounce and energy back if you are going to run at faster ones. So that's the shoe I'd pick out of these two for sure. If you are a fan of more traditional shoes that have a ride feel that's a bit more direct and close to the ground, you are getting that a bit more with the Cumulus. It is still a pretty cushioned shoe and it is comfortable enough for easy runs and that kind of thing. I just think the Novablast gives you a bit more back and it's a bit more fun to run and pick up. So say whatever level of runner you are and what you're really looking for, whether it is a daily trainer that you can use for a mix of runs or just a cushion shoe for easy ones, the Novablast 5 is the one that I'd pick from these two.
My verdict on these two shoes, they're both shoes that you're going to buy as sort of daily workhorse shoes. They both talk about comfort and things like that. And they both look quite similar in a lot of ways, as you'd expect. I think it really just comes down to the versatility and the comfort. I think the Novablast 5 is more comfortable. It's got a nicer midsole. It's got a bit more energy return in it, and it's a bit more versatile. It's got basically everything is slightly better in the Novablast 5. The Cumulus 27 it's fine. It does what it says on the tin, but it doesn't really deliver anything particularly exciting. So if you wanted a bit of energy return, you don't really get it in the Cumulus 27. If you wanted loads of cushioning, you don't really get it, especially in the forefoot. So it's fine, but I think the Novablast 5 is just a far superior shoe. And if it came down to anybody saying, what should I get as my daily training shoe, whether that's a beginner or somebody who's looking for just a daily, comfortable daily cushion shoe as part of their rotation, I'd go for the Novablast 5 every single time because it's a far better value shoe, and I think it just works for a lot more people.
Verdict then, and for me, unless you prefer a lower to the ground, more connected ride, I actually think the Novablast 5 is probably the better option. I think it's the option that a lot of runners are going to prefer. It's cheaper. I think it offers more versatility. I can do a really wide range of runs in it. I think some runners may well even find that they can train for and race a marathon in this shoe, depending on how they're attacking the race. However, if you do like a more traditional ride that's cushioned but lower to the ground with more ground feel, a bit more compact on the foot, rather than that bigger stack, the Cumulus 27 is the one to go to out of these two shoes. I also think the Novablast 5, though, is the generally more exciting shoe to run in. The Cumulus 27 is competent, but overall I think the Novablast offers more.
That's a comparison of the Asics Novablast 5 and the Asics Gel-Cumulus 27. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. Ring the little bell. We'll see you next time.